What's going on, everyone? This is Steve Larsen. You listen to Sales Funnel Freaking Radio. Woo! Hey, this is actually a special episode. This is part 3 of 3 in my review day by day of the Funnel Hacking Live event that Russell just threw in Dallas. I'm actually in Dallas right now recording this. I didn't want to leave the hotel room before doing this and spitting it out while everything was fresh on my mind. So I'm just sitting inside here in the actual hotel room itself and just getting these podcasts out to you guys. These are kind of a review. Today will be a bit shorter than the other two. The other two were a bit long, but I wanted to kind of go in depth so you guys felt like you were getting some value from the podcast itself. And again, just as the others, if this is the first episode of the series of this 3-part series you're listening to, go listen to the other two first. The whole event was meant to build on itself, so I would go listen to day 1 first, and then day 2, and then come back to this one. So really, really awesome. But this is the one where Tony Robbins came in, and it was so cool.
Welcome to Sales Funnel Radio, where you'll learn marketing strategies to grow your online business using today's best internet sales funnels. And now, here's your host, Steve Larsen.
And again, thank you to all of you guys that I was able to meet and talk with, take selfies with, and all the gifts you guys brought, which I was not expecting that, and it was very, very humbling. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. And again, my voice is totally shot still, and talking as much as I am is not helping, but is what it is. Okay. All right, so the very first person who came in was Garrett White with his wife. Okay, now Garrett has spoken every single time at the Funnel Hacking Live events, and the reason Russell likes to bring him in is because he also helps people implement. Okay, now you think about it. Garrett made this point as well. He's like, okay. He's like, I know you like coming to Funnel Hacking Live. And you get a whole lot of extra goodies and nuggets and things that you don't get anywhere else. But he's like, think about it. If you would just freaking read the book, watch the tutorials, and do it, you're going to be farther along than the majority of people are out there. It's really funny to listen to it. But I was like, okay, that makes sense. There's a lot of stuff that you can't get from a book that you do get at the event. But it was actually really cool to listen to and hear him say that. So he was there with his wife though, and we've never done that with him before, and his kids on stage. And Garrett was the same Garrett, swearing like a storm. But he went through though, and he started teaching us more about this. It was kind of like an echo of what Satema taught, but even more depth on certain areas. It was really cool. And he said that he realized that so he had this. He was a banker actually, and in 2008, when the economy just really tanked, he lost everything, and he realized that he had no idea really who his wife was. He had no relationship with his kids. He realized that the life that he was living was like a pure crap. He hated it, and he realized a lot of it was because, again, similar was the story that he was telling himself, which is kind of cool because Tony came in and talked about the story that we were telling ourselves, and there was kind of a theme there for several speakers, not just those 3. At least that's what I picked up. Maybe that's what I needed to hear. You know what I mean? You guys might have picked up something different who were there. So anyways, so he said you gotta choose yourself. I don't mean that in like a freaky deaky way, like weird. It's like meaning you gotta create yourself. Okay, number 1, know who you are. All right, know the story you're telling yourself. And he had us turn and scream at the top of our lungs to our neighbor that I am a marketer. You know. Number 2. You got to live in the land of yes or no. None of this maybe crap. Okay, I'm going to get this done. Maybe I'll get this done. You mean no. That means no, you're not going to do it. All right. It was cool. It was interesting to listen to him say all that stuff. You got to live in the land of yes or no. No more maybes. And so he had us turn to our neighbor and scream, I am a closer. So number 1 is I am a marketer. Number 2 is I am a closer. And then number 3 was... He said a lot of times when we get in these businesses, we start getting followings, and guys, I've been totally guilty of this, and it's been really cool to hear him say this, because right now, sitting here right now, as I'm recording this podcast, there's probably 400 messages collectively between emails, tons of Facebook messages. Oh my gosh, I can't even handle it anymore. It stresses me out. And I want to give and give and give and give and help. And I feel guilty that I can't give and give and give because I have to live too. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of you guys listening to this, you guys get the exact same way because we attract like people, and you're listening to my podcast, we're probably very similar. You start to feel guilty that you can't help everyone and their mom at all times for free. You know? You feel guilty that you can't get out there and do that. And I was like, gosh, that's so true. I've totally had that experience before. Now, Russell has since been teaching me that, like, look, it's your moral obligation to sell people. It's your moral obligation. It's actually the name of the last section in his new book, by the way, after he and I talked about it, because it's such a huge deal. People feel guilty about taking other people's money. He goes, no, dude, think about this. Russell told me this, and then also Garrett White was saying this on the stage too. He said, okay, think about it. You've gone through, you've done the epiphany bridges with people. You've been selling them like crazy. You've helped them realize the need for the product. You've gone in, you've changed their paradigm in the world, and then you don't sell them something. The worst thing you could do is give it to them for free, right? When you give something for free to somebody for too long, number one, it can bring in these feelings of, well, you gave it to me for free, so everything you give me should be for free, right? And I'm not talking about like your baits, like all the things you're putting out there to bring people in, like that's fine. But if you're giving your actual bread and butter product and service away for free for too long, like it jacks up the value that they see of what you've built. When I have built, okay, you guys know that I built the funnels, like for Marcus Lemonis on the TV show The Prophet. That was like 11 funnels in a day. It was nuts. Okay, Marcus saw the vision. Marcus caught the benefit of the funnel. He understood it. He had the epiphany because he talked to Russell about it, and it was super cool. And he's like, oh my gosh, every business needs a funnel. And we're like, yeah, that's what ClickFunnels exists. We're like, this is freaking cool, huh? And he's like, oh my gosh, yeah. And then what happened is I went out and I started building out all these funnels for all these people. And that was my role in the company shortly after I got hired. And I was building these funnels and I was putting them together. And there's all these different companies you guys probably haven't heard of. A lot of them were TV show episodes, though, of the show The Prophet. And I was going back of all these episodes he'd done in the past and building funnels for these companies. And I'd build them and I'd put them together. And the whole way, I had to keep selling these people on why they needed the funnel. They didn't have the epiphany, right? We built these beautiful funnels. Oh my gosh, these guys could be making so much extra money. And they came in and they're like, cool. And it sat for like months. And we're like, oh, you're not doing a dang thing. Why not? And they're like, well, we don't even know what this is. Like, what do you do? Why is this? And I was like, I've been telling you. I've been showing you. I've been coaching you. I have showed you so many times how this thing works. I'm like, well, we don't want to do an internal launch to our list. Why would we do that? They've already bought from us. And I was like, oh, you are idiots. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so what was hard and what was challenging is that if people have the epiphany and you don't sell them something, you're actually doing them a disservice. If people they pay attention, right? They need to put some skin in the game psychologically to actually go in and digest and get after something. There's something that you have to pay, whether with money or time or sweat or some sacrifice, in order to actually get stuff, understand it, implement it, push forward on it, right? Everything is bought with your time, your thoughts, anything, right? And if you go in and you say, hey, here's this really cool product and I'm giving you this awesome offer and I'm going through and I mean, guys, the funnels I give for free on my site, I mean, I should charge my full 10 grand price for a lot of them. I don't though. You know, the ones that are like $100 or $127, like, and people come back and they complain about it. There's only been like one person that's actually complained about it. It's because they didn't know, like, anyway, I don't even know how they got that on the page. I don't even know why they bought. And they probably didn't know how to turn on Facebook. I was like, anyway, it's only been one person's ever complained. I couldn't even believe it. But no one else has complained, but then I'll go back and realize that some people just not implemented it. I'm like, I wonder if I charged more money if people would implement this harder, because like half of the people get it and they push forward, the other half don't. And I was like, oh, interesting. But anyway, so that's what Russell's been teaching me, is like, if you've gone through this whole thing and you've taken away their ability to pay with money, they have to pay now with something else. Does that make sense? It's the moral obligation to sell. Right? And so Garrett White had us screaming, I'm a closer, I'm a closer, I'm a closer at each other, because we need to live in the land of yes or no. It's like, charge the money, right? Charge the money, and get out there and make the sale, because then they are motivated. They got skin in the game. You've changed their mindset, and you've actually given them a way. The product is the path, right? The service or product is the path for them to actually get done what you were just saying they could. And it scratches everyone's back. That's how it happens. And people who can't afford it, that's okay. It means they're trying to figure out how to afford stuff. That's in the phase that they're in. It's okay. Anyway, I shouldn't keep going on that. But what I've been thinking, so he's screaming at each other, I am a leader, not a savior. And then we whispered it. It was really interesting to feel that I have a vested interest, you guys, in your success. You guys know that, you're listening to my podcast. But there are just some people that I just can't help, and I can't do it for free anymore. I did it for free for 3 years just so I could prove myself to the market that I knew what I was talking about, that I was motivated enough to get it done, right? That I was getting it done, that I was getting real results for the companies. And I gave it free and free and free and free, and helped and helped and helped and helped and helped. But what really brought more people success is when I started charging. And I didn't realize that until Garrett came out and he said that. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's true. I am a leader, not a savior, right? I'm very religious and I believe in Christ, but that's not the point of this podcast. But it was interesting to think about that on that level. And I was like, gosh, very fascinating point, my friend. Thank you very much. And he's like, there's no hack to work. Stop looking for an excuse to suck, right? Just go out there and start suck. He's like, just suck. Just freaking do it. You're gonna suck. And then you'll suck less. And then you'll do it even more and you'll suck less. And then eventually you'll suck less, so little that you'll actually be good. And he's like, you just gotta start. Just freaking do it. And his little daughter came up and she wanted to come up, be on stage with him. And he's like, well, it's gonna cost you. This is the backstory of how she got on stage with him, his little girls. And he's like, well, you got to make $1,000. So his little girl followed Russell's path, read the book as a punishment for time out for something she did. Garrett makes her read Russell's book. So she finished the whole book. She went through, made a webinar. She made $1,200 on her first webinar as a 10-year-old girl. And I was like, it was so cool. And he's like, now what do we tell people who are just bad-mouthing us? And she immediately knew what he's asking, and she started yelling, I don't care about you. You probably don't know how to do half the things that I'm doing. It's really funny. Anyway, I'll stop on that. But it was a big epiphany that I had for the event. That was really cool. Then Russell came through, and we have got a sweet traffic course. I mean, you guys are starving for traffic. And so what we're doing is we're flying in the top experts, right? The people who don't sell courses, right? These are the people that are so freaking good that you cannot attain them unless you pay a ridiculous amount of money. We're like, well, what if we paid the ridiculous amounts of money? They trade us as a team how to do it, and you guys get a camera on the inside watching us do it all and getting trained and how it worked for us. And it's really just such a freaking good offer. Oh my gosh, there's a table rush. That's the first time I've ever experienced an actual table rush. People got up before he was even done and just ran to the back because it was so good. Anyways, we had a big break. And Tony Robbins security was there, and we didn't know it, but they were testing us to see if we were actually bouncing people. And I like to fight, so I was like, make me a bouncer, please. I look like a softie, and I smile and hug like one, and I'm always pumped and excited, but there's this other side of me that really likes to fight stuff, which is why I think I got drawn into the Army. Anyway, so apparently they were testing us, and they're like, you guys are doing a great job. We're really impressed with your staff. And we're like, yeah, we're totally freaking security guards. Yeah, what? And anyway, so Tony Robbins came in, and I've got a full page of notes and graphs and stuff he was saying. And I don't even know where to begin on this, you guys. It was so good. Gosh, it was so good. He's like, hey, raise your hand if these 3 days while you're here, you're like kind of stressing because there's things in your business you need to get done, but they're just not getting done without you. Raise your hand if you like it that way. Okay, now repeat after me. Keep your hands in the air. I am a business operator. that sucks. It was really funny. He's like, okay, you guys are business operators, not owners. If 3 days away is making you freak out, like trying to expand it a little bit. He's like, I'm not trying to be cheesy. He's like, a lot of people think me as like a happy-go-lucky thinking kind of guy. He's like, that's total bullcrap. I am more of a strategist. He's like, realize when I say that 80% of success is your psychology. He's like, it's all about your state. He's like, what state are you in if someone tells you bad news? He's like, act like you're having bad news right now and go make the sounds and noises you would next to the person, or to the person next to you if you got really bad news, and shoulders slouch, and the face kind of gets, and he's like, okay, now stand up and walk around, introduce yourself to someone like you're scared of them. And he had us do that. He's like, notice how your body is. And he's like, okay, now realize, now let's go talk to people who are, let's act like we're excited to see them, like it's a long lost friend. And so we ran around, and the room was like ridiculously loud. I mean, you could hear it basically out the hotel doors, way in the back of the hotel. It was so cool. And so we were jumping around like crazy. And anyway, it was really, really cool. He went through 3 different forces of creation. He talked about us, who we're spending the most time with. Life is shaped by decisions, not conditions. Told us his story, which is very, very humbling. Oof. He said, success is a result of good judgment. Well, how do you get good at judgment? By failing like crazy. He's like, you get good at judgment by learning what bad judgment is, because that's what you made. Anyway, guys, I don't want to keep rambling on here, but gosh, it was so freaking good. It's about how you kill your fears, and people stood up, and he was like, what's really most scary to you? And he's like, I'm not gonna make you guys share it, so just write it down. And he's like, okay, let's share. It was really funny. I lied to you. Stand up. And he pointed at one girl. He's like, what do you fear most? And she said it, and it had to do with I can't remember, insecurity or something like that. And while she was describing it, he was like, okay, raise your hands if you can identify with this. And everyone, tons of people raised their hands, of course. The feeling of insecurity. And he's like, oh man, ma'am, I want you to know just how alone you are and how no one's ever experienced that ever in their entire life. And we're all laughing. He's like, understand, you guys, that there is the mind, which is the organ in your body, in your head. And then is your mind. And so many thoughts of the mind often control us. Feelings of insecurity, feelings of this or that or that or that or that or that. He's like, when I realized that the mind can produce lots of stuff for the body and persuade you, he said, I realized it was fascinating to have the epiphany that the mind is different than my mind, although it's happening in the same place. How is it that everyone, and we had people from so many countries there, and different religions, different languages even, people all over the world came to this event. He's like, interesting. So people from all over the world, different languages, different backgrounds, totally different places they came from. We all feel those same feelings though? Huh. And yet we are so our own person and think that all our problems are our own and no one else is thinking of them. He's like, that's total bullcrap. And he says, so understand there is the mind and then there's your mind, and you need to learn to separate them. And when a thought like that comes in, just know it's the mind. You can dismiss it. You can move on. It's really cool. It's really cool, guys. I don't even know what else to say on this huge page of notes. I got nowhere else to go on here. But he talked about how motion determines emotions. And if you're feeling sad or depressed or bored, he's like, freaking start moving. Just get up and already your body's going to start changing. Your biochemistry will change. You'll feel happier just by moving. He's like, stop sitting. We are a sitting culture now. We just sit. Don't do anything. Just get up. Do stuff. You'll feel better and you'll be happier. It's really cool, actually. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for you on this one. Those are kind of like the huge key takeaways that I got from those 3 days. Thank you so much. I just want to point out to you guys, thank you. I really appreciate all the awesome stuff that you've done. After and meeting you guys, I had to step out a little bit of Tony Robbins at the end because we went and we got pictures with him, and I'm sure I'll post that as soon as we get him back. You guys get to see that. It was kind of cool. It was the whole ClickFunnels team that was there with Tony. It was really fun. All the Inner Circle people got their picture with him, and anyway, it was really fun, and it was cool to go through all those experiences together. And very, very bonding. And what I do know is that ClickFunnels is far more than a software company. It is a marketing company, but do you see Russell like as a standard CEO from other people? It's like, no, this guy does so much more than just than a CEO from some competitor we have. By the way, he totally took the gloves off, and we were 100% fighting and trying to destroy Infusionsoft and Lead Pages now. Everyone got their own comic book, and it was really cool. Totally over-delivered, like in true Russell fashion. Anyways, guys, I will talk to you later. I've got some cool special announcements in the following podcast here that I'm going to be doing because I want to take action on my own business and the things I'm doing with you guys based on what I learned during the actual event. So I'm going to do that. And I've got some cool things going on that are going to be coming out here. And then things I'm no longer going to be doing or offering so that I can focus and help out as well where is needed right now. So, one thing was kind of cool before I go here. They brought us to this place called Medieval Times as a staff afterward. It's crazy cool. You go inside and you sit down. It's one of those dinner theaters. And you sit inside, or you go inside, and it's like a big arena. And there's real live horses jousting in front of you. It's the craziest thing. And the guys they're riding at each other, and they literally joust each other. Like splinters of wood going all over the place. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. There was sword fighting and sparks going all over the place. It was really cool. It was awesome. I was actually really impressed by that place. It was funny because we're the ClickFunnels team and we can't help it. We were walking around like trying to funnel hack them. We're like, okay, they got this many seats. They're probably pulling this much revenue. Overhead's probably this much. We were figuring out their whole business while we were sitting there, and they were serving us their stuff. Anyway, we were looking up all these different words on like medieval times and stuff like that, like medieval vocab. So we're like, if someone did something wrong, we're like, forfeiture. It's really funny. Anyway, you should totally go there. It was totally awesome. It has nothing to do with the event. It was really fun, though. Anyways, guys, you are awesome, and I will talk to you all later.
Thanks for listening to Sales Funnel Radio. Please remember to subscribe and leave feedback. Want to get one of today's best internet sales funnel for free? Go to salesfunnelbroker.com/free funnels to download your pre-built sales funnel today.